watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
And together we are Raw Break. And, you can see how, best booker in the business from his house, not from the boiler room anymore. And me, we're really happy and excited because we're going to be talking about the best show of the WWE, and that's NXT UK. It was a pretty great episode. Finally, we got to see from these guys that are in the top right corner, Ilya Dragunov and Walter. So we're really excited about this. Let's hear the excitement from Jean-Paul Eck. How we doing?
Good. And this, you said it perfectly. The best show in WWE, in my opinion, the best wrestling show, at least the one that out of all the ones that I watch. And this was a really good episode as well. Maybe not so much for the in-ring, because I will be honest, the way the main event ended, I did not like at all.
I thought about that.
But this was just, it was really good on the promo side. Because sometimes, you can't just have great matches without having great promos, because the promos help further the storylines a lot more than the matches do. So we had a lot of great promos, a lot of backstage segment, talking to Sid Scala, this is bullshit, or tell Johnny Saint I need this. So lots of, moving pieces. Really solid episode of NXT UK. And like I said, the only thing was the main event, but we'll talk about it when we get there.
Exactly. So thank you for the love, the support that you always give us every single day, and that's why we repay you by bringing you the best content in wrestling and also in soccer. So we're going to start out with the menu with AEW Dynamite. Kenny Omega defends his title against the bad boy Joey Janela, and also the Icon Sting comes out to save the day, for Cody Rhodes. He was being attacked by Team Taz, about to getting his ass kicked, but he saves him. And John Paul and I mentioned before, we're going to be seeing a 6-man tag. It's going to be Brian Cage. It's going to be Ricky Starks, and it's going to be Taz's son going against Sting, Darby Allin, and Cody Rhodes. And also, Cody and Brandi are going to be parents. So congratulations to both guys. And, don't forget to check this out. Omega, you can still see the teasers for Impact Wrestling. So, not a great show. It's still kind of in the process of getting legit. We don't know yet. The numbers didn't reflect that.
Yeah, I'm definitely more hyped up for the, the triple threat or the 6-man, tag team match at Hard to Kill. With the Good Brothers and Omega. That I'm more excited.
And, Robert will be there. So now tell me a little about NXT.
NXT was a decent show. I mean, the main event between Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, it was good, but then, of course there has to be interference and everything, which it's just, that's me personally, especially because we see it all the time, so it doesn't feel special when somebody runs in a match. But it was still a pretty solid show. We did get to see the fantastic match with Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne. Hoping Pete Dunne would have won, but they're going with O'Reilly and Balor 2, or like Balor said, O'Reilly and Balor the end.
Yes, we're going to see that in 3 weeks in NXT, in NXT New Year's Evil. So we'll see what happens on that. But now let's talk about NXT. And let's talk about Kaylee Ray, because she opened up the show, our NXT UK Women's Champion. She going against Isla Dawn. They had a pretty good show, but everything to just showcase, to kind of give the champion some action, so she doesn't lose her step, all of that. And Isla Dawn, at least she gets a match with a champion, so you can see that at some point she probably will receive a big push. So what do you think about this match?
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of Isla Dawn. I'm also a really big fan of Kaylee Ray. Lots of things to make note here. I like on commentary, they said how Sasha Banks requested a match at some point with Kaylee Ray. That is a match I really want to see. And that just shows, if you want to look at it, as I always say, from the world of kayfabe, NXT is lower than the main roster. So for a main roster person to say, I want a match with somebody from, NXT, that says oh, you're really legit. So they're putting over Kaylee Ray a lot. And this match was maybe 6-7 minutes long. Isla Dawn looked all right, but like you said, this was just a showcase for Kaylee Ray. The one thing I don't like, and this is in all modern wrestling shows, is they say, if you pin the champion, you'll probably get a title opportunity.
Yes.
And it's that's just I don't know, it's just a stupid
mentality way to book that they have right now.
It's a stupid way to book it. It should just be if she was able to pin the champion here, that might, then she might be on Kaylee Ray's radar. Or Kaylee Ray, okay, now I'm going to have to pay attention to this. Not you'll earn a title opportunity.
Yeah.
But I know, it was a pretty good match, but, gory bomb and done.
Don't you think that going along those lines, don't you think that Kaylee Ray gets pinned, gets pinned, Kaylee, yay, then how about, hey, I'm the champion, I want my rematch, I want to have another thing to see, because I'm supposed to be the best. So then you
Mhm.
kind of like produce a rivalry. Not even the title needs to be involved. So I like what you say
Yeah.
on that. Kylie Ray, of course, looks great. Isla Dawn, at least, like I said, she's being showcased like regularly on the show. So it's a super kick, and that opened up the sequence for the Gory Bomb. 1, 2, 3. She gets the win. She cut a promo after that, and then she talked about how like Jinny and Bate and Niven, like they're like still fighting with each other rather than focuses on her. So they said Jean Paul Egg, I'm going to be the champion, and I'm going to be the NXT UK's Women's Champion forever, and forever is a long, long time. So I
Yeah,
really like that one.
I like that line as well. She's like, "Get used to this," because forever is a long time. Pretty much stating like, "Get used to me holding the belt because I'm gonna hold the belt forever." So I really like that line, and to me, she's a legit champion for them. So, but I do think they are building up for Valkyrie though.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
think that'll be the
Valkyrie. But we
next
said it.
person.
This is in between. I just think that like it's just not going to be neither one of those two girls. It's going to be Valkyrie who takes the title away from Kaylee Ray. So let's talk about this. NXT UK's newest addition is Ben Carter. They had a really big and important video package. Everybody from the NXT UK roster talking about this guy. They got like pretty much like Eddie Guerrero, like kind of like a kid. The same style, flips, dives. He did a beautiful Spanish fly. But there's a lot of like hype from this guy. He comes down from like Seth Rollins' school of wrestling, so everybody was talking about even William Regal. So I want your thoughts on this.
Yeah, and what did you say his name was again? I'm sorry.
Ben Carter.
Ben Carter. Yeah, I was gonna say it was a really like generic name, and when he said he's from Jersey, I'm like, wait, like United States, and I'm like, no, there's probably like a Jersey over in the UK somewhere, which that's where it was because they said he came to America, trained at Rollins' school. I like how Regal put over Rollins. He's like anybody who trained with Rollins, is on my radar because Rollins is one of the best. So that this, and I'm looking forward to this guy. Like they said Eddie Guerrero, Dynamite Kid. Rollins said that he reminds him of a lot of them. And you mentioned A Kid. That would be a fantastic matchup. You see this guy come in. He has all this hype behind him. And he's young and he kind of has a similar style to A Kid, so I think that would be a really interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to this guy, and I'm just looking forward to all this because NXT UK, they only add legit people. No offense to even NXT and the main roster sometimes, but they bring in these people, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what even is this? But like all the people in NXT UK, I mean, besides sometimes Pretty Deadly, we like to make jokes about them, but I mean, everybody on the roster, I think, is legit.
It is true, and the one thing is that he chose to be NXT UK, so that tells that he wants to go and compete. He wants to wrestle. He wants to challenge his own, level of professionalism, athleticism to the best guys that they have, and they show, Joe Coffey, they show Dragunov, they show Walter, A-Kid, so all of that. So it's really interesting to see what this guy is going to do, and like I said, if they're smart enough, the first feud should be either Tyler Bate or A-Kid. So, let's talk about a guy that we haven't heard from like a month, but it gave us like the best match of 2020, and that's Ilya Dragunov. He had a promo right there, and he pretty much says that 2020 he gave us like the best match, like I said, like in the WWE, but he's not really happy. He's not proud of it because in the end he lost. And he said that he was supposed to, he said he was going to win, but he lost in the end. He said he was going to take violence to a next level. The concept of violence was going to change for us because of the level of intensity that they're going to have in there. He did that, but in the end he didn't win. So you see an Ilya Dragunov that we don't know the path yet. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think we actually do know the path because he said, I reached that point. I was at, about to be at the top of the mountain, so to speak, and I didn't get it. So now, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm still up at the top. No, he said, I'm all the way back at the beginning. I have to start over again. And you see him; he's pulling off the red contacts, and you see his eyes. So maybe a new gimmick change, and not like completely different, but his tone might be different. He might not be more coming out waving his arms to his music and crawling around and being all hyped up. It might be more more like Uncle, more like so.
Yeah, more pissed off. Yeah,
more just angry, sad, somber, but
determined. No emotion.
But I mean, this guy, it's still, especially after this promo, hearing this, he's still the guy who I think needs to beat Walter. I mean, but the way that they set this up, though, it could be something where maybe they go, oh, he'll be it'll come to him, but in the future, but they have something planned something big planned for him. Excuse me.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Probably it's like a gimmick change, something more like so he's more deadly, maybe more intense rather than like.
And maybe they're trying to make him human too, because you got to think the red contacts, and he was always just like he was smaller, but he was so unbelievable and violent and stuff. But now we're seeing like human emotion. We're seeing how he was like sad, he was upset, he was almost crying in this promo. So it's like so it's it was really like you got to see who he really was and how he really felt. And you'll never see this kind of promo on WWE main roster, because this NXT UK always presents it like this is real.
Yes, exactly. That's the one thing. The level of realism is just way better than every single company in the world. I will say maybe MLW companies that don't really have a lot of like popularity or mainstream quality, but like this is really good. This is something actually changing gears. Let's talk about something that I did not like because it didn't make any sense. And it's a handicap match. Is Levi Muir going with Jack Stars going against Saxon Huxley? This is like, okay, I'm like, okay, this happened because, better luck next time. We heard that 3 weeks ago. Saxon Huxley's like, oh, better luck next time. So he attacked both of these guys, one individually, then, both of them. So now they have a handicap match. And this match actually, Saxon Huxley lost. So I didn't like that at all. We were jobbing the Bruiser Brody generation. So I'm really upset about this because the character of this guy is all unhinged. He doesn't really, he's not there mentally. He just wants to fight people. He wants to beat them up. And now for these two guys to beat him, it doesn't make any sense to me. This is the one thing of the show I was like, really? Wouldn't you give the guy the win?
And that's where you and I actually differ, because as I'm watching this, I was like, okay, I'm just thinking Saxon Huxley's going to win. Like, I was watching it, but I wasn't, like, invested in it. And as it's going, I'm like, Levi Muir is really good. The guy is strong. I love when Huxley earlier in the match, he hit that, really big Luthez press onto Jack Stars, was beating him up. He goes to do it to Levi, and Levi's like, I don't think so. Catches him, slams him. And, I'm really behind these guys because even though they're, they called them on commentary gatekeepers, which essentially is just a very fancy term for a jobber. You greet all the new guys and you get beat up by all the new guys who come into NXT UK. But, they're like, hey, we're a team. Let's be legit. And they even portray, the jobbers and stuff as it like, and I don't want to use that term, but it's like these guys are up and coming. When I see Jack Stars, he reminds me like an NXT UK version of Sami Zayn when Sami Zayn was in NXT. Yeah. Like small, but like still, he's still muscular. He doesn't look like a little kid like Leon Ruff. He's muscular, he's built, and he has that intensity and that fire. And they look good. It was a handicap match, so that's why I don't hate it as much that Saxon Huxley lost. And also, he's crazy, so he could just attack anybody, get a feud. And, they have so many guys who they're really pushing. And I feel like it would have been predictable, like I said, if you would have just had this monster beat these two guys. So it was something different. And also what we saw afterwards, this was the only run-in thing that I liked, because after the match, obviously he lost. He's pissed. He beats the shit out of these two. We see the bomber, Dave Mastiff, come out. He makes the save, and, and I would have maybe had them had more of a pull apart, not Mastiff kind of like knock him out of the ring, and then, then security pulls away Huxley, and then that makes Huxley kind of look like a pussy because we see, the bomber Mastiff is standing in the ring. So then obviously, that makes him look like the winner. But I would have rather maybe had them a big pull apart or something. But this was good, and this is going to be the next feud. Like, Mastiff looked really good in the Heritage Cup tournament, and I think, maybe this would be the time that, like, Mastiff maybe do the job again and put Huxley over in this feud. But we'll see. This was the main thing. Like, the match with, the handicap match, I think, was just like, was the appetizer to get us to this main
force. And well, the only thing, like, to mention also how the match ended, it was just like a roll-up. Because, like, Muir, like, he like, touch his hands like he did something like to the
Huxley was because Jack Stars was trying to roll him up, but Huxley was holding he was holding onto the ropes like I don't think so, but Muir smacked his hands off the ropes, and then Jack Stars was able to roll him up and really got like his full body on the legs to keep the pin down 1, 2, 3 like you said. So it's it's one of the things that it like we already said what we said, but the one thing I don't know if you noticed this. Do you see how Saxon Huxley leaves the ring? He holds onto the rope with one hand, flips over, he does like a handstand on the apron with his one hand while holding onto the rope, and then flips his like entire body. And the dude's tall as hell, so like everything he does is like I'm like, this guy is like, he's his own. Like, nobody does things like he does. And then on commentary, they said he's, one of the most unique superstars. So I'm like, they said it perfectly.
It is absolutely. And have you heard one like he's actually wrestling?
Yeah, he does the gimmick. That's why I love this show. The show is everybody portrays who they are as an extension of like themselves. They're not playing a character. That's like, this is who I am, just on television.
It's just a little bit more like you said, with a few notches up, but like extremely great stuff. So like we got a promo from Piper Niven. She's actually requesting a match because there was a video that was shown to Sid Scala, and that was like she was training at the Performance Center, and then she moved away to get some water, to get some like juice or something for Jean-Paul. He loves it. And then like with somebody, I think it's Jinny, she comes out and she delivers like a big box or like a case, and then Piper Niven opens that, and then she finds a chair, and with like a note, and then that was Jinny. So Piper Niven just said, "Give me Jinny, give me Jinny." So like they made it official in 3 weeks. Number 1 contenders match, NXT UK Women's Championship, is going to be Jinny and Piper Niven. So we mentioned this for the longest time. So the one thing is like, why they take 3 weeks for this? I mean, I will do it like maybe next week, maybe because of the Christmas season and all of that. They just want to save that for the beginning of 2021. But of course, we knew this was going to happen. Who's going to come out the winner? I will say Jinny, because we've seen Piper Niven and Kaylee Ray so many times, so I don't think they will go that route. But we haven't seen Jinny and Kaylee Ray.
Yeah, this is starting to be like an Edge John Cena thing, where it's like or John Cena Randy Orton. It's like, how many times can we see this match? Like we're sick of seeing it. But so it has to be Jinny. I don't actually know if that was her who was pushing that cart. I think it looked a little bigger, a little muscular. It might have been a man. So that might have been, or like, maybe like a muscle, like a bigger woman, like a Raquel Gonzalez or something like that. So who knows? I mean, and that's exactly where I was going with this. This could be, hey, let's copy the same bullshit NXT's gonna do because they want to have Piper look good. So maybe it'll be another run-in interference, and then blah blah blah, another steel chair. Jinny gets the win to look heat, to really keep that heel heat going into the match with Kaylee Ray. The only bullshit thing with that is it's heel versus heel, so I'm not interested, and I'm like, okay, Kaylee Ray is going to retain, because like we said, we all know this is setting up for Valkyrie.
For Eva Valkyrie, so absolutely right. So let's go to like the main part of the show, the meet and greet for everybody is this. A-Kid, the poor guy looks already that he's like shitting his pants, and I'm like, I feel bad for the guy because look at the way he's standing. And then he has the Heritage Cup, and they call him a championship, like you said, like the cup, like, is the meaning like a championship, resembles a championship. I don't know why, I don't know who thought of this, but like that's what it is. And he cuts a promo. He says, he did the past month has been great. He beat 7 stars. He made his country, Spain, España. We're really proud because the Spaniard, like Paul likes to call it, like he's really happy about that. But like everything that he's done, even defeating his mentor Tyler Bate last week, just shows the next path for him. The next path, or like step of this evolution, is just going to be Walter. So he challenges Walter for a match for the NXT UK Championship. And before he's like trying to like finish the promo, Walter steps in. So we got to hear from Walter. We didn't hear the music. No, not yet. But Walter just comes out and he's like, hold on a second. He's like, next time that you come here, make sure that you wipe, the dust from the ring, because the mat, the mat is sacred and all of that. And Walter says that A-Kid is nobody compared with like, to the NXT UK champion, which is him. So he says it like this, like the Heritage Cup, should be represented by somebody like me that like has history. That is, it's not like you. You're like kind of like, you're a new guy. You're an outcome. You're an uppercomer. So like that's what Walter says, and also he says that like, you don't have a chance with me. You're just ordinary. So how do you feel about this, Zach?
Yeah, I really like this. The promo by A-Kid, it was okay, but he doesn't have that conviction in his voice. And like you said, maybe it's just, the language barrier a little bit. Maybe that's something that will come in promo classes and stuff. But Walter came out, I love the line, like, wipe your dirty feet before you step into my ring. And he's just like, I don't know who you think you are. Like, yeah, you're good. He had to put him over. Because, like, they say, okay, well, make sure you put him over before you bury him. And he's like, oh, okay, I will. And he's like, yeah, you're good. You're technically sound. But, like, you're not me. You're not the NXT UK champion. He kind of borrowed from Kaylee Ray. He's just like, I'll be the champion forever.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this was really good. This is a good matchup. And you said it, too. You're like, oh, maybe this cup, winning this will kind of give him an opportunity for Walter. and that's exactly what it did. And I don't think he's going to beat Walter, because imagine that, like he
Well,
is
look at the
there to
size
go
difference right
and
there.
everything. Yeah, so I don't think that's going to happen, but I think this is just going to be something where they said this will be in the new year. Maybe this will be in 3 weeks as well, when they they do the number one contenders match. Maybe they'll just have like a really big show, kind of like a New Year's Evil, but like they'll call it something different, obviously. So who knows? But I mean, this will be a very good, interesting matchup. But like I said, if I had to make the prediction now, and I'm gonna stick with this prediction, I don't see Walter losing.
Absolutely not. There is no way that like a kid is gonna be the NXT UK champion. Absolutely not. I don't care how much Spanish he is. I don't know. I don't care how much Hispanic he tries to be. I don't care if his Spanish is better than mine. I don't care. There's no single way in hell that like he's gonna like become the champion. Look at the size difference. Like you always said, in the world of kayfabe, borrowing from you a little bit, if you allow me to. Like the world of kayfabe, like how is he gonna beat Walter and not Dragunov? But like going to the archives of Robert, I found this. So what do you think, if you speculate, what do you think about this picture? Can we believe this, one of the sources right there, or no? It hasn't been confirmed, so don't take our word for it. It's just somebody did a really great job to hype this matchup. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, it could be, but like I whether it is in 3 weeks, or they wait till maybe the end of January, or who knows, whenever they do it, like I said, the outcome is going to be the same. If they do it at New Year's Evil, I think that would maybe hype the show up. But the problem is, I don't really know how much they hype up NXT UK on the USA Network.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if we see these guys, unless you subscribe to the WWE Network, you know who Walter is, and if your only experience the Walter was the Survivor Series 2 years ago, you'll be like, this guy's a loser, because it was a Claymore kick and done from Drew McIntyre. So I don't know how much the casual audience who watches on the USA Network from time to time will really be invested in this match. So that's the thing. I feel like this match, if it is at NXT New Year's Evil, then it'll be good exposure, hopefully, for that UK brand, but I feel like it should be on the UK show, though.
Oh yeah, well, you need like your main matches, your like kind of like your main events, and on the show, because that's the one.
Now, if you're gonna do some kind of cross promotion, give me Santos and Devlin.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're gonna do a little bit of alliances, now that everybody's like used to like alliances with Impact and AEW, NXT UK borrows from like regular NXT and things like that.
Well, I wouldn't call that an alliance. That's like asking your brother or your sister for something. That's that's not like asking your neighbor.
But at least like kind of cross promotion a little bit in like in the world of kayfabe, cross promoting stuff. But like, hopefully, like this actually is a really great match. But we know the winner is going to be Walter. There's no way, because probably this guy, if it's not Dragunov that you said or Joe Coffey, this guy is going to be the one appointed to take the title away from the Austrian brute Walter, and that's Rampage Brown. He had a match with like you said, what was the word they used? The gatekeeper, right? Josh Morrell, like pretty, quick match. They're still grooming Rampage Brown to get him used to like the WWE audience, like the ones in the UK, the ones in Europe. They know who this guy is. They know what he's capable of, and this was a pretty decent match and quick. And like you said, Doctor Bomb and done.
I will say, I will say, you said it is Morrell was the last name, or he really athletic. Like Rampage Brown went for a clothesline, like he ducked at the last minute. He was jumping, flipping off the ropes. He looked like Spider-Man out there. Like legit, like Prince Puma and Lucha Underground. Like the guy looked really good. So he's another one. Like keep an eye out for him. I'd love to see a match between him and Jack Starr, or him and too many names. Names escape me. The Seth Rollins student.
Oh yeah, Ben Carter,
yeah, like see, that's the really good thing. It's like, okay, even we've said it's since we started covering this, since the I guess like the startup or the restart of NXT UK, the return is like, even the matches where you're like, oh, this is a job match, they even have the jobber look pretty good. It's not like a Brooklyn Brawler, like okay, they actually have the guy looks pretty good.
Yeah, like the job matches is actually a little long, and like I said, the guy doesn't look that bad. He's not just like finisher in 1, 2, 3. We have like Rampage Brown once again. So like we have like at least 3 guys in contention. It's not one of them is A-Kid, but we have Dragunov, we have this guy Brown, and also we have Joe Coffey. All 3 of them to me signify that one of them should be the one that takes the title away from Walter. So we'll see what happens on that. Also, when talking about Rampage Brown, you saw Dave Mastiff. They have like a little bit of a promo. Just because Mastiff was like walking by Brown and he said, "Hey mate, he's like, I hate brawlers, I hate like bullies." So that's what I did to Saxon Harsley. So he's like, "Oh, so all right." right, bro. Like kind of like, well, okay, I don't care. Like, can I have my match? So that's what they did. So now let's talk about the main event. The main event, and that's we have like the tag team championships on the line, and that's our boys Gallus going against the Hunt.
And well, before we get to the main event, we should mention the Trent Seven promo real quick.
Yes, yeah. Tell me a little bit about the Trent Seven promo.
So he had to sit down and he's like, oh geez, he's like, go ahead, tell me what you're gonna ask me. I already know what it is. And they're like, so the Heritage Cup tournament. And he's like, yep, okay, here we go. So he's like, yeah, you know what, I lost. He's like, maybe I got, and it showed it. It kind of reminded me with Jericho when Jericho with the AEW title, where he's like, I have to win this. That's how Trent Seven was. He's like, I have to win this. And he's like, maybe I got too invested in myself and I was looking at the past and the heritage instead of looking at the future. And obviously he's talking about A-Kid, the future. He's like, I've been here for 4 or 5 years. I haven't won shit. And this fucking kid comes in 1 year, he's the fucking thing. And he's like, I have a lot on my mind. I have a lot of I got to think about. So he's like, it's not goodbye. It's see you later. So he's going to be going away for a little bit. So, this is something where it's like, I like Trent Seven a lot. He's one of the guys who I would have put a belt on in some capacity. But, maybe he's going to go away, kind of give the spotlight to some other people. Who knows what he's going to do? Whether it's another, opportunities like, acting. We see a lot of wrestlers doing that. Or maybe just time off. Maybe he's like, hey, I'm tired. Maybe he's injured. We don't know. But, hopefully we see him back sooner than later.
Oh yeah, no, like the one thing, like he said, like the line that like stuck up in my mind is like, oh, I have a lot of things that need to be fixed. Mm-hmm. So he probably, like you said, he could easily go to NXT, regular NXT, or like you said, just take time off, something like that. Because like also like if you think about it, with all these people coming and this show being like featured every week is like somebody else. It's not the same guys. So he probably like doesn't have a spot. They don't really have a regular spot for him. So maybe like, hey, 2021 is going to be better. Crowds probably will come back. Then maybe they can do something better with him. And like you said, a little bit of time off is always beneficial because he can renew his character, renew his ideas, come up with something better. So good stuff. Like you said, good promo. And you see like he's frustrated. So you can tell. That's the idea right there. So keep that in mind. Let's see when he comes back, how he copes with the frustration. So now let's go to the tag team, championship. And that's Gallus going against the Hunt. I want your thoughts on this. This match was like pretty decent, but in the end, it became a little bit of a clusterfuck. Do I like that? No, because the champs look weak in this match, especially towards the end.
And the main event, normally NXT UK, they give them a lot of time for the main event, give them 20 minutes or so, 15 minutes to really put on a good match. But this, once you take the entrances out of the equation, it really wasn't much time. So, like, these guys were shot out of a cannon, lots of high-paced action, really good stuff. I like the Hunt was, they were isolating Coffee for a little bit. Then they were isolating Wolfgang, tags in Coffee. And then it got a little bit of back and forth. And, Eddie Dennis was getting involved, really, giving the advantage to the Hunt. And then, I actually thought they were going to win. I said last week, I think they really needed to win because I thought this was going to be clean. I respected NXT UK. I thought they respected me back, and they're like, Jean-Paul, we love you. We're gonna make it legit. But no, we saw the whole fucking tag team division come out. At least from the start of the main event till the end of it, till the credits popped up, we saw the whole division. Yes. So you saw everybody come out. Who was
the first one that started the whole the whole clusterfuck? It was Eddie Dennis. Eddie Dennis started like messing up with I think it was Wolfgang or Coffee. One of the two. He started messing up with them. I think it was Wolfgang that he started like messing up with him, and then right away Joe Coffey came out. So Joe Coffey caused a lot of distraction, also giving the advantage a little bit.
Yeah, I think he speared Dennis or something on the outside. Yeah.
Yes, he was chasing him out. So of course the guys from the Hunt, he's out. So then also Andrews and Wester, they showed up, and then they got, I think it was Primate. They got him, and then that allowed another the advantage for Gallus, and then Gallus get a finisher that is Inzaguri, and then boom, the power slam. So 1, 2, 3, then Gallus retains. Like I said, the match, I don't like that also because the champs look weak. There is no way that your champs should look weak. And like you said, after that, even you see Joe Coffey celebrating with them right there. But like you said, then Pretty Deadly came out, and then also another tag team showed up. So you see a lot of tag teams, and then you just see Gallus. So you definitely are seeing that the path is going to be for Pretty Deadly to go after Gallus. And I don't know if I really want to see this match or even those guys getting the titles from Gallus. I don't know, but let's finish your thought.
Yeah, to me, the only legit team that you should have gotten the belts would have been the Hunt. Because I don't see like any other legit team that's built up pretty deadly to me is like Breezango and NXT UK. And, as much as we're like, oh, Breezango's cool, like, are they a legit team that you want to have your tag belts on for a long period of time? Especially with, the caliber of athletes, and you just see the size of the men, in the NXT UK. No. So I don't believe Pretty Deadly. To me, they're like a heel team that, like, is just a good challenger, a good contender. I really wouldn't give the belts to them. So I don't know. I didn't like this, obviously way too much interference, way too much shit going on. And like you said, the Hunt was going for the diving head, the double headbutt. They were going to go for the win. And then Morgan Webster and Andrews pushed them down. So, that feud is still going on, which I'm fine with. But then the Hunt needs to beat the shit out of them again. And then, maybe challenge again. But then to me, it's tainted. Yeah. Like, oh, you couldn't do it the first time. Now you have to do it the second time. But with all this interference, I think Eddie Dennis might bitch. And he might get a rematch. Or they might do some... Remember how they had the ladder match? It might be a 4-team ladder match. It might be Gallus. Pretty Deadly. The Hunt and Andrews and Webster. It could be another ladder match. It could be something crazy. Maybe if there's going to be a super show for NXT UK, maybe they'll load it up, do something like that. So we'll see.
It will be cool if they go those routes because you have all the participants right there. You have the whole story written for you because, well, like you said, Ennis is going to bitch. Well, I want my rematch, and then you have history with Webster and also Andrews, and then Pretty Deadly is like, where we beat everybody. So right there, the whole story.
They should do something where it's like, now, see, Eddie Dennis he's actually a wrestler, so this isn't as good as like an old school thing like a J.J. Dillon, Jim Cornette, but it should be like if they beat the Hunt, they get 5 minutes in the ring alone with Eddie Dennis, and then they like beat the shit out of him.
Well, like something like that. It will be like if they resort to things like that, it will be really cool, and it will just like makes NXT UK stand out because no other company, no other like wrestling promotion does that. So it will be cool. But like you said, the main event was good, but like all the interaction, all the interference from
the ending
kind of took away from like the actual match.
Yeah, great match. Just sum it up in a really quick, great match, high paced action, but the ending with all the interference and the fuckery, it killed it for me.
And like you always mention, and with this, we're just gonna be over with the review. It's just like every single wrestling company, they try to do this with interference. Can they ever be clean? What happened with the idea that somebody pins the other team or the other person clean? What happened with like those kind of ideas?
Yeah. Or like the only one I was fine with that it made sense was Joe Coffey. Everybody else besides that, I was like, this is killing it.
Yes, well, yeah. If you get Coffey, don't have the others, or if you have the others, don't have Coffey. Because at least with the Hunt, you have history with Andrews and other because we have that pleasure. Joe Coffey, there you go. Family, thank you so very much for everything that you do for us. We hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Tomorrow we have Go Home Show for SmackDown, TLC, on Sunday, English and Spanish, both versions. Jean Paul and myself talking about all of that. Where they can find us in the social media world.
Well, you can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast, the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break.
Thank you so very much, family. Jean Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...